Hi and welcome.
This is Gertie.
I'm Gertie and this is Ella.
I'm Ella. And this is our channel / podcast?
Podcast maybe? We'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
This is our first time. So be easy on us. We're a little nervous.
Making a video.
Yeah.
Making a channel for me. I don't know about you.
We are both diagnosed with something called PMDD, and we're making this as a resource for ourselves and people that are affected by this.
For anybody who thinks that they may have PMDD, who is diagnosed with PMDD, who is the partner of someone who has PMDD.
Who has a loved one that has PMD.
A friend.
Family member.
If you're part of the medical system and you want to know more about how real people are living with it.
If you're on a frantic search to why are you so crazy?
Girl, why are you acting so
Why
cray,
you acting
cray?
so cray-cray?
Do you know that reference?
No. Victorious?
Not Victorious. Gravity Falls.
Oh, I do love Gravity.
Right?
Anyone.
As long as you're kind, you're welcome.
This is a safe space. Please keep it that way.
Yes. Be easy on us.
Yes. So what is PMDD?
Yeah, so PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, was originally added to the DSM-5 in 2013, so it officially became a disorder in North America at that point. I believe it may have already been a disability in the UK before then, but point is, it's relatively new according to medical professionals. Mm-hmm. Obviously.
Western medicine, yeah.
Western medicine, thank you. Obviously, it's been affecting menstruating people since forever.
Female hysteria.
Yes. We're going to get into
that is a topic for another day.
Another day. But yeah, so that's when it was added. It is known as a disorder and a disability.
We identify as it being a disability.
Mm-hmm. Physical disability, because there's both a physical and mental aspect to it. But basically, people describe it as a severe form of PMS. However, that is a bit invalidating for me personally.
I also find it invalidating.
Because as easy as it is to explain to someone that it is a severe form of PMS, it really isn't. Not chemically anyway, and it doesn't really present the same way.
It's a very digestible way of saying it, but it's not a digestible thing, so it shouldn't be described as one.
Exactly. That's a really beautiful way to put that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so PMDD, basically with your cycle, for all of you who don't know, after you stop bleeding, after your period ends, you enter into something called the follicular phase, which is the first half of your cycle, pretty much. They say anywhere from day, 0 to 14. That's very structured. Everybody's cycle is different, so that's not going to be the same for everyone, but technically, PMDD is supposed to start after you finish ovulation. So in that 14 to 28 day period called the luteal phase, right before you start your next bleed. Again, super structured. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
You're an expert of your own experience, so you would know.
In your own body, just because her luteal phase ends on a different day than mine does not mean we do not have the same disorder. Exactly. Everybody has their own journey and their own cycle. Be kind to yourself, please.
That's really important to note. And so PMDD, in the second half of your cycle, is basically a disorder, disability. I'm going to say disability from now on. Try to make a conscious effort because that's how I...
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
That's how I feel. It's a disability that basically affects your relationships with other people. So that means, including yourself, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mainly
yes,
yourself.
Mainly yourself. But... that's how a lot of people get diagnosed, is they're having volatile arguments or chronic depression just within that second half of their cycle, and it's affecting their relationships with their family members, with their partners, relationships,
professional environments,
friendships,
workplace. Yeah, friendships, a huge one.
Yeah. And that may mean that person has chronic fatigue and can't go out with their friends. But that also may mean that they have full-on emotional breakdowns and have to stay home all day and are physically debilitated.
Physically, mentally, it's a whole thing. Like, you can't function.
It became more of a depressive state for me, and I would be crying for 5 hours in my room. And then I realized this isn't normal, especially when I started talking to my friends who also menstruate, and they were like, no, you know, I get cravings, or I feel tired, or maybe I'm a little grumpy, but PMS doesn't affect me that way.
Yeah.
It's my period that does. Another big red flag was that when I started bleeding, I felt great, personally. I was like, wow, oh my gosh, it's like a huge weight has been lifted. That's a big sign. Obviously not for everybody.
I found that really hard because that is honestly a big factor that led me to not getting diagnosed this early, because I always assumed that it was as soon as your period started, all your symptoms went away, when personally the first day of my period was my worst day. And after that, I would be completely fine.
Yeah.
But it was the day I bled that was my biggest day.
Well, basically what PMDD is, chemically speaking, is an allergic reaction to the normal hormones that are released during your cycle. And that's why it's a physical disability and also a mental disorder in that sense.
There's a lot of physical aspects to it. It's, there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it. It's really complex. It's super, it's a lonely disorder and disability to navigate. So that's why we thought that we would make this channel / podcast.
Yeah.
Because
TBD.
We just happen to be friends.
We just happen to know each other.
That also are both diagnosed.
That
And
does not always happen. It is a very new disorder and not well known in the healthcare system. So it's 5 to 8%, right?
5 to 8% of menstruating people are diagnosed with PMDD, and I think that number could be so much higher, but
absolutely,
the's a lot of stigma around menstruation, mental health, physical disability.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, if it wasn't, I had personally, what led to me getting diagnosed was a really horrible reaction to a hormonal IUD, and if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't have known that it was hormone related.
So, that being said, we're making this channel as a resource, as we've said, but let's kind of talk about
how long we've been diagnosed.
Yeah, our journeys, I guess, you could say, and how we met, and all of that. So
I've been diagnosed since November of 2021. That's just about 5 months. My experience with my IUD happened a year prior to getting diagnosed, so I've kind of been aware. It is a very tricky thing to navigate, like saying you have something until you're diagnosed, which is a separate conversation. I found it it was groundbreaking, life-changing, traumatizing, dramatic to get diagnosed.
Relieving.
I didn't find it relieving at all.
Sorry, I'm not saying for you. For me, it was a relief.
Yes, I thought it was going to be having a name to something that I've been dealing with, obviously, for a long time. And it actually kind of just... I felt like it ruined the perception of what I thought that I knew what was going on, until I realized, like, looking back, I'm like, oh, that struggle, that was PMDD, that whatever. It just was like, holy fuck, like, how did I not know, you know?
And I think, like, and we were talking about this, at one point, you feel really betrayed
by your body.
Yeah, and by, you know, health professionals and people around you that didn't notice. Like, you feel betrayed by a lot of it.
My therapist, my family, my body. And it's also, like, I mean, I identify as a woman with she, her pronouns.
Me too.
I associated my uterus with my femininity, my, you know, fertility. And then it's just something that, like, is so hard to deal with.
To see your body is literally at war with yourself. That's a good point to make. We've been saying menstruating people throughout this video so far. We want to point out, we recognize that not everybody who has PMDD identifies
as a woman or
identifies as a woman. So we're going to try our best to say menstruating people. As Gertie said, and as I tried to slip in there, we both identify as women who use she, her, hers pronouns. So if we ever do slip up, you know,
we are human, but that is
human.
not our core beliefs. Anyone that is menstruating and is a uterus owner can be affected by this.
And is affected by this. There are people. And we're hopefully, right, to get somebody on this channel who can speak more to that, because obviously it's
not our journey. We don't really. And speaking of that, like, we are just two young women.
Yeah, I'm 21.
I'm 20. I was going to say two 20-year-old women, but...
I mean, you can. I don't feel 21 yet. And that was January.
Yeah. We've, like, compared to a lot of people, we're newly diagnosed. And we're still navigating this. This is a journey. Yeah. We can only speak on our personal experiences, which are similar, but also very different from each other. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be the same. We haven't tried every treatment in the world. We haven't done this. So hopefully this will be a platform for us to tell our stories, but also to hopefully have people that have had different experiences tell theirs.
Yeah. And this is something that a menstruating person deals with all the way up till menopause. So there's obviously people who have way more life experience navigating this disability, and will be able to speak more from a different phase of life.
Yes.
About what they've gone through, what challenges they've faced, and different generational challenges with navigating the medical system, because it's only in the last, like, I'd say 10 years that doctors have been more aware that PMDD is a thing. Since 2013 and the DSM-5, that was a big step. So everybody has different experiences. I met Gertie in 2019. Yeah, so we've been friends for just over 2 years now. Over 2 years.
3.
Originally I'm from BC. I moved to Halifax to go to school, to go to university, and my roommate in residence was one of Gertie's friends from childhood.
Yeah, she was my childhood friend, and she had come to where I
Shout out to Cassie, we love you.
Shout out to Cassie. And then when she moved to Halifax, where I was living, I met Ella.
Yeah, so we were randomly placed as roommates. Oh my gosh, this is such a coincidence how this all worked out.
It really
now
is.
That I'm thinking about it.
A lot of people do not have anyone that they know with this.
It's such an isolating, lonely thing to navigate. And the fact that it's 5 to 8% of menstruating people who have this that are diagnosed, and we just happen to both be diagnosed, like, we had to make this channel.
Yes. And, like, even though we do have each other, it is still a lonely experience.
Yeah, I mean...
You are alone with it. It's your thing. So we do have each other, and we can use this as a resource, but...
But it's hard, like...
But it is hard.
We don't see each other often because our cycles don't match up perfectly,
it's tough.
Obviously. But this, hopefully, is going to be a resource for us and a way for us to also interact with each other.
Yeah.
And hang out.
So how long have you been diagnosed?
Yeah, so the year following my time in residence, first year university, the year following, I had some pretty big things happen in my life, which I'll get into in my own journey. But yeah, I was having a really hard time, and I got, I finally was like, I'm done with this. I need to talk to a doctor. I was very fortunate that when I did speak to my doctor, part of my university healthcare system, and told her my symptoms, right away she was like, okay, well, there's this thing. Obviously, it's super isolating. It's really hard to do. But then, about a year after I was diagnosed, Gertie was diagnosed. So we've been a team now, kind of.
It's been good.
It's been good. Yeah.
How did you feel, like, knowing someone?
Yeah, so I was shocked, and I kind of suspected something was happening.
It's hard when someone's like, that's something that I struggle with, and I'm like, me too.
Yeah. And especially when you're not diagnosed, there's so much invalidation people go through when they don't have a diagnosis yet. But it's so difficult to get a diagnosis.
It's so difficult to even know what to start with, you know?
Yeah. So when I did find out that you were diagnosed, I was so... It's weird because I was happy for you for having a diagnosis. I was also mourning for you because I know how difficult it is. But then selfishly, I was like, oh my gosh, another person who I can, like, talk to about this. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like, yeah, it was definitely, it felt less like earth-shattering. Like, again, I did have a hard time getting diagnosed and, like, dealing with the diagnosis, but it did feel less earth-shattering, like, knowing that there was someone that I could talk to with it. And, like, especially Ella, like, as much as, you know, she's not an expert and she doesn't know things, like, I'm so much less of an expert. Like, she's done her research, she's done, like, gone on Facebook groups. Like, she's a great support to have.
So
I'm coming at this as more of the funny, relatable, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Okay, but you know what? You say I'm an expert. Half the time I'm just going
spitting bullshit and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. But you know what? Everybody's an expert of their own experience.
Yeah.
And my experience has just come at it from a more research standpoint because I didn't have someone else to talk to about it. So I was like, okay, I have to find people on Facebook. Then I'm like, hi guys, how's everyone doing today?
How's everyone doing?
And then and I'm just like, just so you know, you guys are all so loved. You know when you go through those.
Yeah.
But you know, that community is so warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
I just love everybody within the PMD community.
Before we go, should we, like, tell a little bit, like, about our interests?
Definitely.
Ended on a
Outside
happy note.
of the disability side
this
of it.
isn't all we have going for us, I promise.
Yeah. So, hi. I'm Ella. I'm from Pemberton, BC. If you are also from Pemberton, BC, hello. I have a YouTube channel now. So I grew up in the mountains, mountain biking, skiing, surfing. I do love writing fiction and journalistically, I guess. I'm really into film, specifically documentary film. Yeah, I love dance. I'm getting into that more in Nova Scotia where there aren't as many mountains to bike on.
Yeah,
and,
valid.
Yeah, and playing the ukulele, fiddling around with that when I have time.
I'm 20. I was born here, moved around a bit, but eventually came back. I'm not in school. Getting more into this later, but I had a hard time with the education system and managing my emotions and stuff like that. So once I graduated high school, I was kind of like, I'm free, and I immediately traveled, au paired. I've been nannying now for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. Eventually I will get my early childhood, but I love my job now, so I'm not in a rush to wrap that up. Yeah, I did not grow up mountain biking, and I'm not a very good dancer, but yeah, I love things like taxidermy and music, and art is a big part of my life.
Can we insert a photo of the art that you do? Because it's amazing and I love it so much.
Creation Frustration on Instagram.
Creation Frustration on Instagram.
I don't have time to do it anymore, but I did at one point.
Here, we'll insert a photo. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of just the journey that we're on, and hopefully you can come with us. This really is as much for us as it is for you.
This is a selfish channel.
Selfish channel. We're nowhere near the end of our journeys. We're still struggling so much. It is hard.
Tell me about it.
It's really hard, and we're coming at it out of this perspective of we don't know what the fuck is going on, but, like, we gotta get it together.
Yes.
So, and I think that's where a lot of people are going to relate, because, you know, You're full-time school, you've got a job, I am full-time job, have a pet rat, same thing, I think. Introducing Baby the rat.
Baby the rat. Oh,
Oh my god.
a little sniff into the mic. Yes.
This is Baby the rat.
This is Gertie's rat.
Is very affected by my PMDD. Actually, low-key he is, let's be honest.
Oh my gosh.
He gets some tear snacks every once in a while.
I have a Chihuahua mix. She's my family's dog, so she lives with my parents. But she is also very affected by my
Yeah.
She's like alarmed.
This
every
is
single time
a
I go
channel
through
for
it.
animal support. I'm so sorry to pets of people with PMDD. That is also going to be very heavily featured on this. Our experiences with treatments, medications, natural remedies,
Therapy,
naturopaths, like things like that. Like
good stuff.
we have not reached our final destination and we're still very much on that journey. I, especially because I've been diagnosed so recently, I'm very much at the very start of my treatment journey. And I'm trying loads of different things and I'm very excited to share those things. And
Yeah, I'm also excited to share what's been going on with me, and I think I will switch some stuff up eventually, so
Yeah, of
hopefully this channel will be alive to see that.
Yeah.
And,
Anyway,
so, like and subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and comment, and push that notification bell.
Okay.
Let's end this. Anyway,
Yeah, this is a good
thank you for
ending point.
coming.
Thank you for coming.
Keys? Oh, this is getting too real.
I need to go kiss. Oh, wow.
Okay, anyway, let's end this.
Time.
Bye!
Where
Keep
are you?
going, some nations.